It is, and it's recording now. Welcome to the journey home, the story of us, and we're here again with Bucky. Tales from the on the Winds of Time. However, we are. You have so many. At this point, you probably have more books than the one that's currently out, at least
Yes, ma'am.
published, and doing a really good way of showing people again traditions, showing people even we're going to dive into more of the mythology and native myths, native legends here, and bringing perspective shifts to people so that they could think of things outside of the limitations that or programs that were put on people.
Yeah, giving them more of a perspective basically.
It
Right?
inspire and definitely, and it inspires me to paint more things because I see a lot of these things. A lot of the like we were talking about the world turtle. So I believe that's on our list too. We have Turtle Island on there.
Yeah, yeah. We have it's that one. She carries the world or something like that.
Yep.
I think you said.
Yep.
Yeah,
So a lot of these are a lot of people are actually at least in the last week or so since we recorded, they're springing up with more communities. We have grassroots communities coming in, but we do have people becoming more respectful to and being the stewards to the lands that they're on, to the space that they're living in, being respectful, honorable to spirit, to animals, Mother Nature herself. Um, and definitely exploring and going back to more harmonious ways, such as many indigenous tribes would be doing, and are somewhat very much doing today, which is shifting again the paradigm, shifting the perspectives.
yeah,
I like to thank you for sharing a lot of these stories.
yeah. Well, thank you for reading them and trying to gain perspective from them. Which is when you write a story, is something that I was always taught that you try to share your perspective on something and then you try to get feedback on who the reader or if they share it with somebody else, you try and get that perspective to
I,
be like, well, I could expand. I could either keep the story the way it is and then expand on it that way, or maybe go back and rework the story a little bit and then try and see what other perspective can come out of that same story.
I think that sharing it helps people to learn because when you walk through the forest with somebody and yet we may be in the same or in the same forest, the same situation or occurrence or scenario could happen, we definitely don't experience it the same way. And we can learn from the differences even in the experience. So
Yeah,
that would be the individual truths, and then we see the overall truths, which is something the outside of either one of us. But how else would you see that maybe I saw the bird as being blue, but you saw it as shifting, changing color because it was that blue that had that iridescence on it. I wouldn't have caught
yeah,
that. And yet we learned something new from being in a position or a perspective outside of just the singular.
yeah.
It's the best
So
way
I
to.
think you'd really like the last story that I posted if you haven't read it,
In
because I really liked it.
the last one you've done today, because
Yeah,
you've posted a
yeah.
lot of
There's
stories.
a lot. I've fallen down a rabbit hole to just like everything is coming in to where I'm like, well, okay, I could use that one and that one and that one. I have like I made like 60, almost 70 new notes just in like stuff that I have to copy and paste, which I still have like 6 or 7 of them left. So my
It,
apologies for blowing up your Discord
oh,
notifications.
you're fine. I usually see them. I'm like, oh, there he is. He's on a thread. This one, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I almost would like I said, when even though we're doing the podcast and it's out there and we have and asked if anybody else wanted to get involved or join. Um, there's other groups that we're going through, but I may actually make it maybe an event that people could show, like I said, they show their perspective on it. But the stories that we're reading today, like we're talking about native legends, a lot of them are rooted in many different indigenous or mythologies that you see in other spaces. It would be nice to even create somewhat of like even an artist thing. What do you, if you're an artist and you paint, what do you get from this story? If you're a musician and you think about the story itself, what it symbolizes, what kind of music comes out of it? um, what story does it inspire in you? What do you see as a perspective? So same thing like you're saying, how do we expand on it to include that, the form of expression from perspective, and include more
Yeah.
people in it? um, and well, one of the first ones we're doing is the Whirling Logs, which has a lot of different roots in it, but again, there's so much symbology within that particular short stories that we have. And I almost, if it's short enough, maybe we just add the last one you did in. I'm not sure what title it is because you had a bunch of them.
It's I think I did it under the same title. I'm pretty sure.
Is it Braid Under Native
It
Legends?
yeah, it's under Tales Under the Great Tree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's under Stories Under the Great Tree too. It's the third one down. But I think that that one's kind of long. If I remember correctly, it's kind of long.
Okay. So
So we might save it to the end if you want to do it.
okay.
But that just seems something like I could like inspiration. You know how I am like, oh yeah, I can expand on that sort of thing.
I
And
love,
so that's what I did.
and that is an artist in any way, shape, or form. A painter, an artist, a sculptor, somebody who creates reality, somebody who creates, the creator.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we still doing I read the first one?
I don't know. We could switch it up if you want, since they're shorter.
It doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me because I thought that it was always the gentleman way to be like ladies first.
Well, what happens if it's the gentleman ladies first and you're here, go walk on a bed of thorns?
I don't know. Why would I let you walk on a bed of thorns?
Well, then it wouldn't be ladies first, then, would it?
I don't know. Just depends on the perspective.
It does. Again, all about
Mhm.
perspective. All right, I'll read the first one. This one kind of hits home because it's been very prevalent in the last couple weeks. At least the Big Dipper, the Whirling Logs that we're about to read. All right. So the Whirling Log. As we decolonize, we should bring back these extraordinarily meaningful and beautiful designs, such as whirling logs, which are appreciated and admired by our ancestors. This symbol is not a symbol of hatred, but one of highly advanced indigenous people and vast treasures of scientific knowledge, past, present, and future. The whirling log, a symbol found in Navajo, Diné, I hope I pronounced that right, culture, is an ancient motif with diverse meanings and a complex history. It represents good luck, well being, and protection, and is deeply rooted in Navajo folk tales and cosmology. Whilst often associated with the swastika, it's distinct in form and meaning, with the Navajo version being square rather than diamond shaped. The symbol's recent resurgence in contemporary Navajo art is a symbol of a broader effort to reclaim and recontextualize Indigenous cultural heritage. And I don't have the picture up at the moment. I would have to switch around on the screen. It might be a little different. But it is a picture of the Big Dipper in accordance with the North Star, and as it shifts through the sky, it does make a big pinwheel type shape, where we've seen it as a swastika. I've also seen
Yeah,
it, and you have it the four seasons, but also the four winds, the direction of the four winds, which would also be what you've talked about, the hummingbird, the jaguar. These are all protector spirits within certain ceremonies that are also carried out.
yeah.
Um, so I could put that picture up. I could splice it in and throw it up here when we do the recording. And for people who are viewing on YouTube and not just on Spotify, you'll have to view it on YouTube. You'll be able to see that picture.
because it's a nice picture. It's
It,
just a way that, like we were talking about perspective, like perspective on things, the meaning of things, how things can be distorted by the way that you look at it.
it's right. So, like many, I've actually had this conversation before where it's how an object, it is what it is, but it's how the object is utilized, usually by man, that determines whether it's something that is not so great used not so greatly, or it could be used for to do healing or really good things. As you said, it's often associated with the swastika, when the swastika had a bad rap. However, previously to it being used or utilized by a certain group of people, it was actually something very ceremonial. It was a symbol that was very sacred. So again, it's like shining a light. If I shine a light on you, and my intent to shine the light on you is to help you to see the shadows on yourself that may be harming you, that's healing. But if I attempt to shine the light on you to blind you and burn you, that's different. And yet it's still light.
Yeah,
The light itself isn't evil. So it's the intent of which we're using an item for.
yeah.
If anyone's not familiar, you can find the North Star by taking it's the edge of the Big Dipper, not the handle, but the edge, 2 stars, and it points, you start from the bottom and go to the top, it points straight to the North Star, which is a cardinal point if you're looking for navigation.
But most people nowadays would be like, I could just use my phone and download an app, tell me where north is.
And then what happens if you don't have your phone, or the power goes out, or gets zapped?
Well, I guess can you?
I don't know. I don't find you being a person that would get lost very often either.
Yep. Unless I'm somewhere where I'm not supposed to be, then I might get lost.
You say might. I still don't think you would be lost.
But there's always a chance that you might get lost.
No. So, um, what are the Ute? Any of the Ute legends similar, obviously, to the Big Dipper or the Whirling Logs? There,
Yeah, but the thing is, Rose, is that once I looked into all of those, they were like really, really long. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to leave that. Like, I have the whole web page pulled up on my phone. I'd rather not read it from the web and be like, well, I could piece this and this and this together like I normally do.
hmm.
So, yeah.
I would think that in some well, even in European mythologies, the Big Dipper is also again Ursa Major, which is the bear.
Yeah.
And I know the Ute tribe is very significant. You said with the bear, so
Yeah. Then
again,
I sent you most of the stuff that I could find on the bear dance. Oh, did you? There's like three, I think like two or three different tellings of the origin of the bear dance. Did you notice that in that stuff that I sent you?
I did. There's
Yeah,
different, yeah, there's different ways, and for again, different perspectives or different ways people have it move through them, have spirit move through them, and the
yeah,
connection with spirits. Something I listened to the other day, I was in another chat, is that the animals are very much reflective of you. It's your soul. It's a
yeah,
reflection in the animal. So it's how, even if an animal is viewing you at certain animosity, there's something inside of us that is bringing that out in that particular animal, or something we've even done, because it's a reflection of us. If the animals are suffering, it's because it's a reflection of something we're doing or not doing.
yeah,
So thank you for that one. Very much can go on a lot with the Whirling Logs. It's been big in a lot of different ways, a lot of different mythologies, and talking about celestial objects. Um, it's something that, again, is reflective even as well as within us.
Yeah.
I do have something I like with the second one. If people aren't aware of the flaming donut, that is, I believe the second one has some significance in there, and I have not known about it until I haven't actually read this story or did not know that aspect about Raven until I was painting, and I believe you're the one that actually supplied a little bit of the information for it. And I was like, oh, now that's why it's in there. So
Yep.
you have this one.
I just thought that would look cool. Especially that picture. That picture is awesome.
I do like that picture. I could share, I think it's in one of our video, the painting that I have done, a particular soul painting, but that's also a little bit, and I like this version of the Raven though. I like all the little lines in them.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is Raven Steals the Sun. Long ago, the world was covered in darkness. There was no light, no stars, no moon, no sun, only endless night. People stumbled through the shadows, unable to see or grow food. But the raven, a powerful and curious trickster, could not accept it. He learned that a selfish and powerful chief had hidden all the light in his house, locked away in precious boxes. The moon, the one for the sun, one for the moon, and one for the stars. Raven was determined to bring light to the world. Using his magic, he transformed himself into a pine needle and floated down a stream. The chief's daughter drank the water and unknowingly swallowed the needle. Soon she became pregnant and gave birth to a child, Raven in human form. The chief loved his unusual grandson and gave him anything he wanted. One day the child begged to play with the boxes of light. Reluctantly, the chief gave them to him, one by one. As soon as Raven got the box that held the sun, he turned back into his bird form, took the sun in his beak, and flew up the smoke hole into the sky. He released the sun, and for the first time the world was filled with light. Raven didn't stop there. He returned later and stole the moon and stars, releasing them into the sky as well, bringing balance between day and night. Though a trickster, Raven became a hero, the one who brought light, warmth, and hope to the world.
I do very much like this story because a lot of this is, it is in the painting that, again, if we're not familiar with, when I do paint, I have no idea what I'm painting until usually somebody says, oh, it's this, it's this. All of that is very much in the painting. Um, and I do like it that the Raven, like you said, not being a trickster, the Raven was bringing back balance, order, again, warmth, bringing that and sharing that out. Again, would be that unconditional celestial light, stars, all of that, which is a heaven, in a heaven space, in a 3D space anyway. What would you be described as, to be bringing it back into balance and into the people? Um, it's very much relative to the stories of Prometheus bringing fire and
Yeah,
bringing, even, we can go even in a little further, as I said before, as Lucifer being light. Lucifer is just the light bringer. So what is bringing in light? Some people believe Lucifer was, demonized, made into a devil and a trickster and all this other stuff, but Lucifer's just bringing light. That's all it represents. That's even what the name means. And even Prometheus had a bad rap. Prometheus was, I think it was the one that had the stone that had to keep rolling it up, and he had his liver pecked out by, I believe it was a crow or a raven or an eagle. I forget which one. I think it's an eagle, but still. And then you have the bad rap of them trying to paint the trickster as being the raven, and yet the raven was the one that brought balance from somebody that was hoarding, in a way, everything in a box, all that light, all that love.
yeah,
Interesting. It's
It
funny
was.
because I know we skipped over. There was two in between the Whirling Logs, and I know we skipped because we're gonna kind of go back and forth at some point. Um, there's also within the shadow underneath this raven that has the sun in the painting. There's Coyote, which would also be the teacher, but also somebody that they've also painted Coyote being out to be the trickster as well. And yet, isn't there, you have some where Coyote also stole the fire to bring to people or bring
Yeah.
into the land. So
Yeah, still fire. There's like three or four that I've actually read. So yeah, there's a bunch. I think they're all basically say the same thing. It's just I think that some tribes put more of an emphasis on some animals, and then even one of them even goes into how it tells you details about how why certain animals look the way that they do, like why frogs have no tails, or why the chipmunk has some chipmunks have three stripes on their back, and why the beaver's tail looks the way it does. And yeah, there's it. Some of them are informative as well as give you perspective.
I like a lot of those. I mean, and those are basically creation stories. I
Yeah,
think we read it. You have a whole list of those as well. Um, you do. We have a huge list of them. And like you were saying, some tribes very much are affinity towards certain ones, and mostly you see them in the locations where you'd see more coyotes in the desert areas and stuff as well.
yeah,
Sometimes in wooded areas, but you wouldn't see probably as many ravens. Those would definitely be more in the forest areas. So again, depending on where they would travel to or call home, is where those tribes would actually have an affinity towards each one. But yet the story chunk still remains the same. The
yeah,
trickster, the coyote brought it. Nope, the trickster, the raven. But it's not really what people think of as tricksters are people that are actually, in a very funny way, can show somebody a different perspective.
yeah,
Um, I can give a little bit of example. Even this morning, I went to a counter to go purchase something, and somebody asked me, "Were you standing there the whole time?" And I go, "Well, no, but I'm standing here now, so I'm standing here." I mean, like if you think about the way it was asked, were you standing there? I'm standing here now. What time are we measuring? In a way, that response would be something that would be like, okay, this person is clearly crazy or doing a joke or being, just being sarcastic in a way. But it did provide a way of what that person was asking to think, wait a second, I asked this. And if I really look, that is an answer. It just happens to be a very funny answer, but it's the way that that question was asked.
yeah,
So shift the perspective on what truth, what are you looking at? Because there's many ways to look at one specific thing. I do like the picture on the next one, which is short, but I do like the picture on this one.
all of these ones are short.
I know they are. That's why I picked
It
so many of
only
them.
it only takes like one breath to just read them all.
Okay, ready? And we're
I'm
done.
used I'm used to having to because reading longer ones, I try to get as much out in one breath and then do some more and then breathe again, and then usually I can do one uh, should probably take like three, maybe four breaths in order to do my regular length story.
It does. You do read a bit faster.
Yeah,
And then you've been the storyteller for quite a long time, so
but yeah, I enjoy reading these short ones too.
I like them because it gives a little, like I said, a little insight into other tribal stories. Some, like I said, there's other people I've met in the area that I'm currently located in, visiting in, and a lot of indigenous people, and they may have a different way of how they see each one of these. Coyote, or it's raven, whether we're going into, it looks like woodpecker. So again, how is it their legends? What's different? What's the same?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know more. So, and as we share this, I do know a few of those people do listen to it. Be nice to talk about them, find out. Okay, so I have the next one, and we did. I know we're skipping over the two one in between for the next one, next one.
Okay.
All right, so we're doing the drum of the forest. Long ago, when the great trees could still whisper to the stars, the Creator sent a woodpecker to be the drummer of the forest. With every tap of his beak, he awakened sleeping spirits within the trees, reminding them to stay strong, to grow, and to listen. The woodpecker was not the loudest bird nor the brightest, but his rhythm echoed through time, guiding lost souls home and warning others of danger. Elders say his tapping is not just noise, it's a prayer, a heartbeat, a message from the ancestors. To this day, when you hear the knock on bark, know this: the forest is alive and it remembers. This is also a cool picture on here as well. What I could do is try add it, like I said, make even a small slideshow and add them at the end.
You know what happened to the title there, Rose? It auto cricket from drummer to drum. I was like, why does it say drum when I put drummer? That wasn't my fault. That was auto correct, right?
That is funny though. Although, okay, so drum, well, yeah, because he's not the drum, he's the drummer.
Yeah. I just barely realized that.
I do like that. Okay, the forest is live and it remembers, because usually to signify spring is here, you hear the woodpeckers coming out, and they come out way before most birds do. Um, and if you know what they eat, they're tapping on the trees sometimes to get bugs and stuff in the inside. So again, spirits, sleeping spirits inside of them, inside the woods. Um, I'm not sure if they do. I'd have to look it up. I think I remember hearing that they eat some of the cicadas. So the spirits that make noise in the wood, they would eat even the larvae or the sleeping ones if they can get into the wood deep enough. So again, waking a spirit, a singing spirit up.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful picture on here, though.
I really like that picture too.
Let's see.
Yeah, this one's like really short. The next one.
I know I picked.
It's like one sentence.
It's a paragraph, not even, but because it's like two sentences put together.
Yeah.
But we have how many after this? One, two, three
Uh,
more. We have three
three
more.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
off this one.
Yeah, I know. I have this sentence for you, Rose. This is Turtle Island. Many indigenous creation stories describe the world as being formed on the back of a giant turtle. Actually, it's not a giant turtle, it's just a regular sized turtle, but okay. For many tribes, especially the northeastern regions, Turtle Island is the name for North America itself, a sacred land built on the strength and wisdom of the turtle.
And that is the sentence statement for this one. Also a really good picture. And it was also in, I do remember talk about Turtle Island, but also the way I had read about it, the way that the tribes came from the ocean islands, or the ocean, the coast over here, the east coast, and they would hop between many of the islands through the Great Lakes, which had another legend which went with the was it the Tree of Peace, which was in one of the
Yeah,
drums that we painted. Um, so that eventually you have this unity, but all the tribes, like you said, the Iroquois, they had, how the turtles hop between them. Um,
yeah.
And it's on a regular sized turtle, so it makes us feel like we're tiny little microscopic beings on the back of a turtle, right?
Follow your perspective.
It brings to mind, and because those aspects obviously were in different stories. Do we remember the never ending story with the turtle? The turtle that was stuck in the swamp of, I forget, it was the swamp of Sours or something like that, but
I thought it was despair.
is it despair? There we go. And yet, and it was female because I believe the turtle's name was, I forget what the, see, I forget. Was it
I
one?
don't. I could see that movie in total.
I know, I haven't seen it in a while. I actually had the book and read it, and I haven't, that was a long time ago as well. And I have seen, again, that turtle was the oldest turtle, gave wisdom. Some turtles live a long time.
Yeah,
I have seen, I'm going to wanted to bring this up. I had seen a really cool tattoo that somebody had. They were indigenous from Canada, but they ended up coming into the States and had a family starting there. But she had it where it was like a sea turtle almost, but had the woman riding on the back of the turtle, like surfing on the back, and all this color, rainbow color coming out. And it was one of the first ways that I was learning about the turtle that carries the world on its back,
yeah.
or at
But
least to my
well,
mind.
also you could have that too because women are the life givers, so that could also be part of that meaning for that.
And it makes you think about, again, the water turtles. Usually, and water is the waters of life, right? It carries emotions, and then you're also, again, they're the vessels that are carrying bloodlines in. So I actually found it a really cool and unique tattoo that she had. So, and it was a way to incorporate her story in for her onto her, basically.
Yeah,
And I think you have, see, she carries the world is the last one that we picked for this one as well.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other myths or legends with the world turtle, but
There's one from I could think of one from it. In it includes a rather like prominent deity or character in Iroquois legend, Madame Bozo. They tell a story about this, about it how turtle caught its shell.
hmm,
Basically, Madame Bozo helps a turtle that has been turned on its back and says that basically the turtle needed a home, and so he gathers up a handful of Mother Earth and makes it into a shell for the turtle. But he also, since he is like um, a holy man, I'm guessing from just reading that story, he makes it so that that shell will always protect the turtle.
that's an awesome story.
Yeah,
The loving
it
care,
is.
the nurturing part of it to create a show and a home. Compassion.
Yeah.
We should put that in the next one. Although I have a feeling that
Oh,
Dream
it's in the
is
it's
it
in one of the ones on the first Discord, the main Discord.
okay.
It's in one of those. Yeah, I'll have to find it for you.
Is
Tell you
that
which one
one
it
in
is.
the Tales on the Winds of Time? Is that included?
No,
Okay.
sorry.
Aww. Guess we should compile something better. Oh, you'd have to join the Discord to read it, guys.
Yeah, you have to join the Discord to read it because I have a bunch that I gathered on the main Discord, and then I've rewritten a few and put it on. Can't remember which one. I think I made uh, Seed Collector before I made uh, Growth of Soul. It's in one of the two. I know that. I rewrote a few of them.
So we shall find it.
There's so many.
I know we have so many stories at this point.
So far this year, I've written what? I've written 78 so far this year.
Wow, that's a lot. Considering what
Yeah,
we're in the end of April, that's still a lot of stories, though.
yeah.
So we have another story with the Raven. I have.
It's your turn, right?
It is my turn. The Raven Who Painted Shadows. The elders say this raven was born from twilight, with ancestral markings woven into its wings. It didn't fly in flocks or sing loudly. It only spoke when the forest was still and spirits were listening. Raven didn't chase the light. It painted beauty within the shadows. Every step was a story, every feather a memory. It gathered what the forest forgot to help the world stay in balance. They called it Tagway, the one who sees what's hidden. It wasn't vanished. It's just quiet and still painting.
It hasn't vanished.
It hasn't vanished.
It wasn't vanished.
It hasn't vanished. It's not gone. It is again. It's quiet and painting in the shadows. If and that kind of brings me back to the raven. If you've seen them, sometimes they have like that iridescent, different, like you see oil, the rainbow color kind of shimmer on them.
Yeah,
They're that weird color blue that isn't blue that you find in nature, basically. So, okay, so doesn't it spoke in the forest and listening? Raven didn't chase the light, so it painted beauty in the shadows. So in a way, it's almost like the one, like you said, Twilight. What's this? So the two ravens that Odin had, they would often travel through different multiverses, different realms. Not very much. Sometimes they didn't speak as much, but to gather information and then retell that story or whisper it into Odin's ear. So Odin would be a greater story, but one it could even be man creating being instead of blinded by two eyes, it had third eye open. So what was gleaned from it? But again, painting multiverses in a way.
yeah.
There's a beautiful picture of the raven too. Oh my god, you added more to the bottom.
Yeah, I added like 3 or 4 just while we were talking earlier.
Because the
While I
last
was messaging you, I was copying and pasting.
oh wow, there are a lot of them.
Yeah. We have, I think, third, if I remember correctly, we have 31 under under the great tree. Stories under the great tree. We have 31, I think, if I remember correctly.
And I know we didn't read all of them, so
Yeah,
you have the ones that you've added, so we may go back and forth with
yeah.
these.
But like I asked you before, we should include the basically the start of the what would be this one is is adding that the tree of life basically is on the back of the turtle is what I'm going to start including in that to give you more of a vibrant picture of us sitting there underneath the tree of life.
And because the back of the turtle, well, that would be a good idea. That's actually a really good painting to add onto this.
Yeah,
So that is
and
very
so
good.
that's why I don't know if you noticed, but I switched some of the logos around on the Discord.
I've seen the one that is the turtle, which I believe is
Yeah,
it's the one in the last one that we're reading today.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
the next one. I love the picture on
Okay.
this one.
She carries the world. They say the first mother was born from the shell of a great turtle. Her back curved like the horizon, her steps slow but certain. Her children lived upon her, the trees, the rivers, the winds. She never rushed them, she never asked for thanks. She simply carried them with strength only love could hold. When storms came, they hid beneath her shell. When the sun burned too bright, her shadow cooled them. Her love was quiet, steady, like the earth beneath our feet. The elders say every mother is a living echo of that turtle, her back bearing the weight of generations, her heart beating with the rhythm of the land. We call her Mother Shell, the one who holds us all.
And it's a great picture that you have. And I can feel that love again, holding, you have that underneath where she's sheltering you and keeping her in her shadow. Um, I'd like to share a bit, and it would have been in the beginning of 2023. I was in a meditation and ended up seeing this world turtle kind of like flying above what would be Earth. Huge turtle. And couldn't figure out it was that and also the celestial whale, which I haven't talked much about, but huge turtle that was also there just kind of like surfing in space, and I was like, this is cool.
You know, we skipped one.
We did. We could go back and read it, or we could save that one for the next one because actually we have been going quite a long time, even though they were shorter
Only,
stories.
only 47 minutes.
I know. So if we keep but if we keep these a little shorter, it'll be easier for people when I listen to podcasts, Steve.
Okay.
As some people, as we've kind of talked about, some people still have TikTok brain.
I'll be so glad when TikTok is gone.
I'm kind of, I'd be more, if it was used more in a different way, I would be happy with
Yeah,
it.
if it was more in like intellectually used rather than, oh, I'm going to sit here and scroll for
Mhm.
an hour and watch nonsense, basically.
Yeah, like, well, even some of these short stories could probably be something that could be put into a
Yeah,
short on a TikTok. So these ones, um, but like you said, more intellectual. I don't find them many that you can learn from. I find a few, but most of them are just dribble. So some of the stuff that you really want to be involved in and engaged in, it happens to be a little longer, like these podcasts or even informational videos or interviews with other people, because and most of them nowadays, most people are doing podcasts, you're now able to engage in. So it makes it more interactive, more inspirational. You're connecting more dots. You're, like you said, more intellectual. You're turning on more brain space instead of just mindlessly scrolling, which I think a lot of people used to do on Facebook.
yeah.
We could save it or I could read it, but the other one we skipped was the blooming one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. As we're going into spring, I thought it would have been a nice one to throw in there, but I kind of like it leaving it where she carries the world with Mother. And we are also going into what Mother's Day is coming in May, so we could always read this one on the next one. And maybe you have so many, because you have so many genres as well, because even you were doing one on the Dybbuk boxes. So we go into a little bit
Yeah.
more of the darker aspects of things, but this is the awesome part of being a
Then
storyteller
the
that
puka.
is, yeah, this is the awesome part of being the storyteller that is very much widespread, full spectrum, is that we can explore any one of these darker places that are hiding underneath stones and behind, dark, shadowy places. Or we can also go right to the celestial light and talk about stars and the moon and these creation processes without actually being defined as any one single one.
Yeah.
So thank you for posting these ones, for kind of bringing this part to life, these stories. And I think when we do another chunk of these, it would be awesome to go back and do one of the ones that you created. That was so we can show like you have the inspiration for some of your stories that are your bigger ones, the ones that you've written, where these kind of lie in between here.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It would. All right, thank
And
you.
then we need to try and do a story actually in a podcast, like come up with something. We should try to do that.
That would be a good idea. So it can kind of, I'll read a few of a chunk or a majority, and then in the background, Bucky can try to, he could get one done, right? Run while we're one of us, or if we have more people, maybe a couple other people read and see what you come up with.
Yeah.
So thank you once again for allowing me to read, for writing it, and allowing me to listen, to be a good listener and teaching.
Well, thank you for reading and for listening.
So this would be episode 14. So we'll post like I said, I'll post all the information where you can buy the book Tales of a Wonder Time by Bucky. Um, and again, I don't know if I had the Discord link. I believe I do. It's usually in the
I think
underneath.
so.
Yeah, so you can join the Discord if you want to come in and be a part of the podcast and show your perspective. You can comment under any one of them. And we'll actually, we've got 14. I think when we get to 15, we may start another season because that'll be a big chunk of it. And then we can kind of see where it goes from there.
All right.
Awesome.